we have Poran from ActiveFence, VP of Strategy.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about your company?
Sure. ActiveFence, founded 2018, have been doing trust and safety, kind of threat intelligence and red teaming for user-generated content platforms across a variety of harms, from child safety, disinformation, to fraud and cybersecurity, really anything that can impact negatively the experience and the well-being, the safety, the security of users on content platforms.
Yeah.
Working with all the major tech companies.
Wait, sorry, can I stop you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm stopped. Do we want to take off his badge? Pete said it's better without the badge. Do you want to take off your badge?
Sure.
Just real quick. Sorry, I don't mean to.
No worries.
Let's do that again. Start over from the beginning. Sorry, I just noticed it.
No
and
worries.
It looks better without the badge too.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. We have VP of Strategy of ActiveFence, Poran. Am I saying that right?
Tomer.
Tomer.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Can you please tell us a little bit about your company?
Sure thing. So ActiveFence has been around since 2018, doing trust and safety security for user-generated content, working with almost all the major tech companies, handling harms as severe as disinformation, child safety, and terrorism, through hate and abuse, human exploitation, fraud, cybersecurity, really any harm that can come to a user on a platform. About 3 years ago, a lot of these major tech companies brought us into their LLM divisions, and that kind of kicked off the next chapter in our evolution. Today, ActiveFence's business encompasses both trust and safety for user-generated content, as well as safety and security for AI. We help almost all the major LLM builders keep their tools from being misused and abused, and working with many Fortune 500s, helping them deploy generative AI and agentic AI in a safe and secure way.
Yes, and AI safety has been sort of the buzzword everywhere, as it should be. How do you see the relationship between the two, and what lessons from platform safety are now shaping how we secure generative AI?
Yeah, well, I think at a very high level, what the last 10 years have taught us is that social media, streaming, dating, marketplaces, have experienced a lot of harms and have negatively impacted in many ways kind of society, democracy, really the fabric of kind of human society. And it feels like, both from a regulatory perspective and a societal perspective, and the attention this topic is getting, as you mentioned, from the media, that there is an intent to kind of think about safety and security by design as we deploy these tools. At the same time, there are financial forces and competitive forces that drive, innovation and adoption, really in a way that can sometimes seem unsafe or insecure.
Yeah.
But it is a battle, and there's a tension there, and we hope to be a force for good in this, and helping both companies as well as these general purpose AI builders deploy these technologies in as fast as possible way, but at the same time secure and safe for their end users.
Yes. So let's talk about real-time guardrails in practice. Your platform combines real-time guardrails, red teaming, threat intelligence. Could you walk us through what real-time guardrails actually look like inside an AI system, and how they differ from static content filters or traditional moderation?
Sure. So I'll start off by saying our platform really, with the kind of life cycle of deployment, development of AI technology, starts with testing, right? As teams are building these tools, these generative AI-powered apps and features and products, both in the beginning and the ideation phase, during the development process, all the way to pre-deployment, and as we often see, even post-deployment, they're testing. There are a very wide variety of evaluations and tests and assessments being done ActiveFence really focuses on adversarial testing, right? So you can test for bias. You can test, is the AI doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? We focus on how do we make sure that in the wrong hands, whatever you're building is not abusive to your other users, stealing your data and company information, endangering your cybersecurity posture, and so on. As teams move to runtime, right, as they deploy these technologies, things aren't static, right? New things happen in the world, new things happen to the company, the products update. Guardrails are there as another measure of defense to both monitor whatever customers or users are inputting into your models and applications, and whatever output your applications are generating, and making sure those inputs or outputs are not manipulative, are not sharing private information, are not endangering, as I mentioned earlier, right, your users or your business integrity. So that's, and if you compare those, as your question was, to static filters, right, say a list of keywords, guardrails are constantly updating. They're updating based on our threat intelligence. They're updating based on, maybe responses that your model gave, and internally you reviewed and say, hey, this is not aligned actually with my policy. So those guardrails are constantly kind of a living organism that wraps around your application and make sure it's, continues to stay aligned with your company.
I love that. That was going to be a question I had in my mind, because you cannot possibly predict all the ways that someone could try to hack your data and make things unsafe. So I love that you have that built in.
You can't predict, and it's not static, right? Those, again, we have kind of a threat intelligence arm of the company with hundreds of analysts that are constantly looking at deep and dark web sources and what threat actors of all different forms are constantly finding ways. And this could be, cyber criminals thinking of new jailbreaks, and it can be, a hate group realizing how they could conduct harassment and abuse with these tools, and it could be child predators thinking of new ways to deceive or groom. Every threat actor out there in the world is looking at these tools right now and thinking how they can manipulate and use them to their benefit.
Yes. And on that note, to scale, scaling safety without slowing innovations is something I kind of wanted to touch on. One tension we often hear is between innovation and control. How can organizations move fast with generative AI while maintaining the rigorous safety and compliance standards?
Yeah, I think we're seeing unprecedented pressure from Wall Street and company boards to adopt generative AI and adopt it fast and adopt it faster than your competitors, and to adapt or die. And at the same time, we're seeing the harms and risks in usage of AI constantly kind of being revealed as larger. And the attack surface is constantly growing, right? We moved from AI to generative AI to agentic AI. We'll move to robotics soon. Every one of these kind of, leaps grows the attack surface. So there is kind of a tension between those two. There's no simple answer on how to do it. I would say, again, staying high level, adopt a responsible AI policy, understand what responsible development means, put a lot of thought and effort into the teams that are creating these policies, the guardrails, and I mean that more in the sense of the controls in your company, right? What does it mean to deploy? What does it mean to test? What kind of rigorous testing are we doing to these models pre-deployment? How do we limit the autonomy? How do we put enough humans in the loop to safeguard? How do we, so all of these things are part of a large, kind of system approach that you have to take to ensure that these tools are deployed in a safe and secure way.
Yes. So responsible AI and ethics, basically, that needs to be kind of ingrained now in everything that we do. So as more organizations then adapt AI guardrails, who should own the accountability for what models produce? Is it the developer, the deployer, the platform providing safety infrastructure like ActiveFence?
Yeah. Look, at the end of it, it's your company, so it's got to be someone in your company who owns it. Because if God forbid, something happens and all of your customer data is deleted, or your customer's private information is out there, like that's on you. There are compliance measures that will ultimately revert back to your company. Who within the company? I've seen many models for this. I do like the kind of the shared responsibility model, but with kind of a single accountable responsible AI officer. I've seen companies do kind of a hub and spoke model where there is a responsible AI committee that's centralized at the corporate level, but responsible AI officers sit inside the business units, and any launch of agentic generative AI technology product features within that business unit, ultimately the accountability rolls up to the responsible AI officer. Now, if the responsible AI policy also includes that the product team that is deploying these products, that product manager is responsible for complying with whatever policy set forth by the RAI committee, right? Whether that means red teaming, testing, checking for biases, getting a third-party auditor, whatever policies you set in place, the RAI officer ultimately needs to be accountable for them. But however he or she sets that policy, it could mean that there is shared responsibility from product people, from engineer, from data science, rolling all the way up to the C-suite for maybe perhaps the high risk implementations.
Sounds like it's everybody's responsibility.
Yeah, it is. Similar to other areas of risk where there is shared responsibility.
Yes. So I have one last question for you. Looking ahead, what do you see is the next frontier of AI safety? Is it about more intelligent detection, more transparent governance, or something else entirely?
Yeah, next frontier in AI safety. Look, I think that while potentially even in the vendor sphere, and when you look at what Sam Altman is saying in OpenAI, you might get the impression that the agentic reality is already here, right? But ultimately, if you look under the hood in most Fortune 500 or even Fortune 5000 companies, and this is sector dependent, but it's by and large even true for the most advanced sectors like big tech. We're not yet in a generative AI, let alone agentic reality, right? Ultimately, the amount of agentic AI that is already out there, that is already deployed within companies is very, very low. So I feel like we're still in that next frontier of Gen AI safety, right? Ultimately, agentic AI is generative AI plus autonomy plus actions. If you think about those two things, right? Autonomy, highly risky, right? You're talking about an AI making decisions all on its own without a human to approve or even get visibility into that action, into that whatever content generated or action taken. And actions is a very dangerous concept in itself, because now the AI is not just generating a nice picture, they're making a payment, they're deleting data, they're booking appointments, right? So if you think about generative AI plus autonomy plus action, the risk surface is huge. We're not there yet, right? So that is still very much the next frontier of AI safety.
Amazing, yes. Lots to think about. Thank you for your time.
Of course, my pleasure.